So the question that I would like us to begin with is, how did death came into the equation? Was death part of God's original plan for man? If no, at what point did death become a factor, and not just a factor, but a factor strong enough to be the connection between the heavens and the earth? At what point did death enter the equation? I would like us to know this evening that death was not part of God's original plan for man. That is why amongst the trees that were made in the garden, the three kinds of trees that God made, the tree that was good for food, the tree of life, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, amongst the three kinds of trees that were made in the garden, the tree of death was not found. So that tells you that it wasn't necessarily the intention of God to introduce death to the scene. As a matter of fact, he was a life giver, and he still is. What he has in store for men is life. And that's why when Jesus came in, he said, I have come that you may have life and have it in abundance. That's what God has in store. But the challenge is that there was a caveat that was placed to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He instructed them not to eat of that tree. Reasons best known to the Lord, but that was the instruction to Adam and Eve, that in the day they eat of that tree, they shall surely die. So the question now is, why will God have to bring in that caveat? The reason is simple. Everything that God made that he gave will to must be tested. Please follow me tonight. Whatever God made that he placed a will, a self-will within them, inside of them, must be put to the test. And the reason for the test is to ensure that they can put their will aside and follow God willingly. I don't know if you understand. And amongst the things that God created, the trees, the animals, everything that God made, it's only two things made by God that has a will, and that's the angels and men. These are the only two entities that has will, the angels and men. So whatever that God made and he gave will to must be tested. It was the test that was put before the angels that revealed the heart of Lucifer. That was the test God ran in heaven, and that test brought out the desire, the lust, the will of Lucifer. It exposed it, and that was what brought about his own fall. And the issue was that any sin committed in eternity is an eternal sin, and there is nothing that can be done to remedy the situation, because the sin of Lucifer was in eternity. And you see, it was the test put to Adam. Like I said before, whatever that has a will must be tested. It was the test put before man that Adam and Eve fell for. That was the test. So at that point, death was now introduced into the scene, because he told them that in the day that you shall eat of this tree, you shall surely die.